screen is what you can actually see on my screen. All right. Now you will see diverse discoloration. You would also see spalling. You also observe even corrosion, okay, and general water seepage. All these are very undesirable and affect the aesthetics of your building, of your concrete, okay. So these are the main reasons why we have to treat penetrations through concrete delicately, okay. So now we're going to observe or view this topic in 3 case scenario, okay. Before I go ahead, please, if you have any question, kindly jot them down. By the end of the webinar, we're going to be treating the question and answer you would have jotted down, so we'll treat it squarely. Trust me, I'm ready for any questions you may have or any inquiries, and I will answer them to the best of my knowledge. Okay, and you can also fill the feedback form if you want to make any inquiries about Costarchem or about the topic. And you can also make screenshots while the slides are going on, so you can also have a copy of it. Now, we're going to treat penetrations through concrete in 3 studies. Now, we're going to look at the precast stage of your concrete, and we're going to look at the postcast stage and the corrective stage, all right? So when you say precast stage, we're talking about before you cast your concrete, when you have your pipes aligned or arranged within your, in accordance to your working drawing, your MEP plan, okay? So what you just need to do is there is a process you need to follow on how to secure that pipe so that it does not leak, especially when it comes to swimming pools and tank areas. All right. So now the post-cast stage is simply talking about, for instance, you've already casted the concrete and you find out that the place where marked out for a pipe is already casted with concrete, so you just need to reopen it and reinstall the pipe in that area. That's what the postcast stage will be looking at. That's the perspective of the postcast stage. So for the corrective stage, we're going to be looking at where you have an existing problem of water seepage through a pipe opening or a concrete penetration. Okay. Now for the precast stage, many engineers, or will I say artisans or technicians on the field, are not privy to this knowledge. Or there's something called a podo flange. Okay. Now this podo flange is actually very much applied in the precast stage of setting your pipe. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, you receive the podo flange fitted to the pipe. Okay, and the pipe has been arranged or put in place where it ought to be in accordance to the plan. Okay, if you observe, the podo flange has a screw gauge or a screw attached to it. This helps to fit in the podo flange tightly to the surface area of the pipe. Now, what's the essence of this? The essence of this is such that the slight void or space between the concrete and the pipe itself that may allow for water seepage would be stopped, preventing it from getting to the other side of the slab or beam or wall or wherever your pipe penetration actually is. So that's what the podo flange is actually made for. Now there are two equipment or two things you can use to prevent pipe water penetration, okay, on the surface of the pipe. Okay, one is the podo flange and the other one is the swellable water bar. Okay, we're going to talk about the swellable water bar in the next slide. Places where you can apply these are aquatic structures, swimming pools, foundations, and basically anywhere you have concrete and the pipe penetrations. Okay, so the next for the pipe penetrations treatment is using a swellable water bar. Okay, I can't stress this enough, but a swellable water bar and a PVC water bar both have their own specific or desired usage, and they both have their own specific advantages. Where a PVC water bar can actually prevent water seepage up to the width of its application. Okay, so if it's applied, if it's your PVC water bar is actually a 1 foot width PVC water bar, whatever crack or leakage, it will stop it within that width. Whereas the swellable water bar will only just swell in accordance to the crack or openings or voids in the joints. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of the PVC over the swellable, or the applications that makes it stand out. Whereas what makes the swellable stands out over the PVC is what we are treating now, and which is the fact that it can be used over pipe penetrations. Okay, whereas you can't use a PVC water bar in this scenario. Also, you can use a swellable water bar in a case where you have already set concrete, okay, and you are casting, you are having a continuous casting over already set concrete. So that is where you can apply your swellable water bar. Okay, that's another instance for its distinct feature. So what do you do when you have this? All you just need to do is apply the swellable water bar over the cross section of the pipe. Okay, now obviously you can't use a nail here. You are going to use an adhesive to attach the swellable water bar to the surface area of the pipe. Now, please take note for QAQC measures. Take note that you are not to align the swellable water bar end to end. Okay, you are to overlap it over each other and ensure the overlap is generous. Okay, so that's another precaution you need to take note when installing a swellable water bar over the cross-sectional area of a pipe. Okay, so now the next stage we're going to look at is the post-cast stage. Now, when we're talking about the post-cast stage, like I said, where in a situation where you have already casted your slab or your wall, okay, how can you now install the pipe penetration? What you need to do now, in this case, you can't make use of a podo flange because of the structure is already casted. What you need to do now is create the opening and vacuum it. That's what we call the surface preparation and the priming. Okay, so you create the opening. Obviously, since you want to have a pipe fitted through that opening, you are not going to open it according to the diameter of the pipe. You are going to open it beyond the diameter of the pipe. Example, you want to install a 4 inches pipe. You are going to create an opening of about minimum of 5 to 6 inches. Okay, so it can accommodate the pipe and also accommodate the filler that you are going to use, also known as the grout. Okay, so once you've done the opening, the next thing you have to do is the surface preparation. You prime, okay, and you prime with an adhesive, a bonding agent, okay, and a product that's well fitted for this is our bonding coastal range of bonding agents, which is our Super Bond 20, which is epoxy based, Aqua Latex C10, our Super Latex as well. This also falls into the range of bonding agents that can be used in this category. So once you prepare your surface and you prime it, the next thing you will need to do is to fit in your formwork. As you can see from the picture I have on display, you can see that the pipe is fitted perfectly on the formwork. Okay, the pipe is fitted on the formwork while the formwork is attached to the base of that slab. Now, this is how you organize it or you arrange your formwork, because if the formwork is not fitted along the area of the pipe, you're going to have the grout you are using to fill that joining leaking out. Okay, so please take note of this. All right, please jot down your questions we'll treat them immediately after the summary of this webinar. Okay, so once you've fitted your formwork and arranged your pipe setting, ensure you use a plumb to get the best angle for your pipe fittings. Okay, I've seen jobs while I'm on site where they had some challenges with the degree or angle after casting of the pipe. Okay, so while installing the pipe, ensure you use your plumb gauge to get the right or perfect angle as recommended according to your working plan. Okay, so the next stage after doing your formwork installation is the mixing. Okay, what products are we supposed to use? To fill such, you ought to use a grouting product. Why a grouting product? Now, that's a very, very good question. A grouting product is highly recommended for such because of one single factor. It is non-shrink. Okay, whereas cement sand mixture can suffice or can be used, take note that you will observe shrinkage. Okay, at some point it will surely shrink. That is cement and sand for you. This shrinkage leads to the formation of voids along the surface area of this pipe, of these pipes that is penetrating the concrete, and that in turn leads to leakages. So the best bet for you that you can use in filling such voids is a grout. Why? Because it is non-shrink. It won't shrink. Okay? And I can even tell you our coastal grout range of products, we make use of expansive cement, and that makes it maintain its form. Okay? So it doesn't shrink. Our range of grouting products is coastal grout C10, 20, 30, and C40, which is epoxy based. Okay, so our C30, as you can see on the screen, is actually a fast setting grout that can be used for such projects as this that may be timely. Okay, so you mix your grout. How do you mix your grout? You mix your grout powder to liquid. Okay, according to the technical data sheet of the structural grout, there is a recommended liter of water you have to use per bag of grout when mixing. So following that strictly, you create your mix using a mechanical speed drill. All right. Now, once this is done, now the next thing you have to do is to pour. Okay. That's what we call placement. When pouring the grout, all right, you are to take notes. You don't pour it all around. You don't pour it all around. Artisans often make this mistake. When you are pouring it all around, you have highly a chance that you will incur air bubbles. You are going to have air bubbles inside the grout, and that is bad. Okay? The grout is specially formulated to flow under its own weight. You don't need to influence its flow. Okay, it flows under its own weight, self-leveling. Okay, so now we are talking about the post-cast stage. That's whereby you have it that you have already casted your concrete. Now what I said is you actually create the hole where the pipe is going to penetrate through. After creating the hole, performing your surface preparation, which involves you using a blower or however means a bristle brush to brush off the surface area of the opening, you prime. What's the priming for? The priming is to ensure adequate bonding. All right. So now I'm going to later tell you the step-by-step process. But for now, I'm just doing a recap on this. So after the formwork, now remember I said the formwork is to be fitted according to the diameter of the pipe to avoid leakage of the grout you are going to be using for your infill. Okay, then we are currently talking about the mixing and the placement stage. Okay, in the mixing and the placement stage, I actually highlighted that you mix your grout by pouring powder to liquid. Okay. Then in the placement stage where we are, I am strictly emphatic on the fact that you don't pour your grout all around. Okay, this can lead to air entrapment, which is not good. And that can lead to porosity, leading to water leakage. All right. So how do you pour your grout? Since this is a circular dimension or a circular shape, you just need to pick a convenient area and pour your grout from that area, leaving the grout to self-level all around by itself. Let it flow under its own weight. Okay, so that is how you place your grout. That is how you apply your grout in this case. Now, while doing that, the next thing you need to do is have your swellable water strip prepared, which you can apply along the surface area of the pipe before completely filling up the grout. Okay, and that's at half the width or the depth of that slab, you apply the swellable water strip. Okay, you can also apply the swellable water strip at the on the surface of the pipe, then insert it or place it. Okay, so that way you just fill in your grout at once, or you first, in order to prevent it from getting damaged, you first set your pipe in the formwork in accurate placement, then pour your grout halfway so that it can have some steady grip before placing the swellable water bar strip, then completely filling the grout all the way to flush with the slab surface. Okay, so that is another process of how you can actually achieve this water pipe penetration in the post-cast stage. This is how it's done, the standard practice. Okay, I know you may want to inquire on why don't we use sand and cement for this. Like I said earlier on, sand and cement has high tendency to creep, to crack, to shrink rather. Okay, so and that is why it's not recommended for this. Now the next stage is the curative stage. Now what's the curative stage? The curative stage is a stage where you have a fixture in a building that is already experiencing water penetrations, that is already experiencing the effect of water penetrations. Okay, so how do we treat that? Now this is the last stage we are going to take a look at. The first stage, very importantly, is to investigate. What are you investigating? You are going to check for discoloration, check for how severe the case is before you make your recommendations or before you know the right way to go about the remediation. Okay? You need to check the source of the leakage. You need to check if the source is a plumbing failure, if it's a clogging failure. You need to check if it's actually it's coming from the surface or the cross-sectional area of the pipe that has penetrated through the structure. So you need to discover or decipher from where the water seepage is coming from. Okay, you need to observe this strictly. It may be a bit tricky, but trust me, upon critical observation, you will surely know. Okay, so for instance, I'm going to now try to cover as much case scenario that may be involved. For instance, let's say the seepage of water is coming along the surface of the pipe through the penetration from one side to the other side. Okay, definitely in this case, you will know that truly it's not the pipe that has the issue, is the sealing around the pipe, okay, that has the issue. In this case now, you may not be able to use a structural grout because at this point now it's curative, it's corrective. And you may also observe damage to the pipe itself. Okay, how will you observe damage to the pipe itself? The fabric around the pipe area in order to treat it. The pipe has high tendency of getting damaged. So in this case, the damage may be minute, may be so small that you will not see. So you will need to use some specific product for this curative measure. Okay, and one of such products is actually a crystalline product. Why a crystalline product? A crystalline product is recommended for this because it forms crystals upon contact with water, and it will maintain a watertight environment. Okay, so how do we go about this? Now, the first step is surface preparation. After observing and knowing what's causing the problem, you open the fabric around the pipe area. Once you open this fabric now, the next thing you're going to do is prepare that area. That's clean it up. Clean the concrete surface around that area using a bristle brush, using a vacuum. Clean it, ensure there is no loose latex. And the products recommended for such is using a crystalline powder. That is our Coastal Crystal Coat. And you can also use a plug-in agent. All right. Now, in Costarchem, we have two kinds of plugger. We have our Coastal Pro plug, and we have our crystal plug. Now, the difference between two of them is that one forms crystals while hydrating very fast, while the other doesn't. Okay, the crystal plug actually forms crystals. So indirectly, you have like a double reinforced system embedded in that product, just one product. Okay, so now these are the recommended products for use in such scenarios. Now, where after creating the opening and cleaning up, the next thing is to mix. For instance, let's say you have an active water leakage. Such a case, I will not recommend that you use a grout. Okay? So when you open it, you find out that there is active water leakage. What do? You need a plugger for such situation. Okay? Knowing the right products to use for the right scenario is as important as the durability you will derive after installing or carrying out the remediation of the problem. Okay, so when you observe that it's active leakage, what do? You use a plug-in agent. But if it's not an active leakage, you can actually use a crystal coat for such situation. Now, where you may be wondering where a swellable water bar comes in. For instance, you have a width or a width that is very huge. Example, a width up to 1 feet. And you have a opening, that's this opening the surface goes deep, whereby this opening of the surface goes deep, and you want a doubly reinforced system, okay, whereby not just the crystal coat is going to be in action or the crystalline product in action, you also want the swellable water bar strip also in action. That is where you can actually use the swellable water bar to achieve a doubly reinforced system. The same process after opening up the fabric. The only difference is before you apply the cementitious material, you are going to install the swellable water bar strip at the end of the penetration. Okay, so please keep your questions at hand. We are about to enter the question and answer section, and I'll be glad to attend to them. Okay, so before we conclude, I just want to treat some QAQC measures that needs to be taken note of while treating pipe penetrations through concrete. Okay, so one of it is ensure that the pipe surface is sanded, okay? The cross-sectional area of the pipe before you install your swellable water bar strip using an adhesive. Try to always sandpaper the surface of the pipe to aid in better adhesion, okay? This is one QAQC measure. Ensure proper concrete vibration is done around pipe penetrations, okay? For instance, when you're using the podo flange or you apply a swellable water bar strip around the pipe penetration, while casting, please pay attention to that pipe penetration area. You need to ensure proper vibration, okay? This will prevent also the formation of voids around that area, okay? Also, applying a bonding agent on the pipe prior to concrete casting also helps and aid in bonding the concrete to the surface of the pipe, okay? Ensure appropriate aggregate size is used for your casting, and also employ the use of a swellable water bar strip at overlapping lengths, okay? Not adjoining to each other. They should overlap. This is very important. Okay, so